Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Advanced Bass Fishing, and really appreciate you guys checking today's video out and hanging out with me for a little bit. Guys, today I want to talk about when you want to start throwing a wacky rig. A wacky rig, everybody knows, or you may or may not know, but it's probably one of the top 3 lures that you can fish in the springtime of the year. In fact, I would probably put it 1 or 2. I think a shaky head or a wacky rig is probably the 2 best spring baits when we're talking about the middle of spring, like right when those fish are close to spawning or getting ready to spawn, or maybe just got done spawning. But just those typical spring days when that water temperature is in the 60s, can't beat a wacky rig. So we're going to give you guys some tips and advice on when to start throwing it and sort of what to look for with that. Also, guys, just a quick invitation. I'd like to invite everybody to please hit that subscribe button here to Advanced Bass Fishing. Really trying to get up to 15,000 subscribers right now. It'd be much appreciated. And again, thank you guys for everybody that's been using and bookmarking my links that I put in the video description. I know all you guys that are using my Tackle Warehouse link for your tackle purchases, thank you very much from me and my family, because we really appreciate that. Okay, wacky rig fishing, so fun. It's probably one of the most fascinating techniques I've ever seen, because it catches a lot of fish and it catches big ones. I mean, there's not a lot of lures out there that does both. I mean, most of the time a lure catches numbers or quality, but a wacky rig, guys, you can catch a lot of fish on them and you can catch big ones on them. I mean, 10-pounders will bite the thing and 10-inchers will bite it in the same water. So it's just a really good natural presentation, and that's one of the reasons it's so effective. It doesn't telegraph itself. Wacky rig is a silent bait. It doesn't put out much water displacement. It doesn't put out vibration. Very natural looking bait, so the fish don't get conditioned to it. It's a really good bait to throw on highly pressured lakes, tough fishing conditions. It's just a natural looking bait. Looks like some type of a earthworm falling to the bottom or whatever, but the bass love it. Okay, here's what I look for with it. It's like, for me, the wacky rig, I want to have water temperatures around 60 degrees. It's like it's pretty close to 60. In fact, I don't even like to throw it when the water temperature is 55. I really like that water temperature to sort of be in the 60s. That is sort of the magic frame for a wacky rig, is between 60 to 70 degrees is when it's the best. You can also catch them a little bit when it gets up 70 or so, but that's the number one thing to remember. It's like, pay attention to your water temperatures, and when that water temperature starts getting 58, 59, close to 60 degrees, right off the bat in the morning, that's when you want to throw it. And here's another thing I'll tell you guys about water temperature. Don't pay any attention to the water temperature like in the afternoon. Say like today, we've had a nice warm sunny day here in Missouri, and if you go to the back of some coves that are shallow water, that water, it's going to give you a false reading, because it may be 60 degrees, but you go out to the main lake and it's 50 degrees. So when that water temperature is 60 degrees, when you launch your boat right off the bat in the morning, that's when I have that wacky rig tied on. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, the next thing is water clarity. One thing about a wacky rig that a lot of people don't realize, it works in a diversity of water clarity. I mean, I've caught bass on wacky rigs in water visibility of 2 feet and 20 foot, everything in between. But obviously it is a better clear water bait. It's like, for me, there's 2 different schools of thought on a wacky rig. If I'm fishing shallow cover, like say shallow laydowns or shallow grass, or cypress trees or stumps, and the water is stained, like say that water visibility is around 1.5 feet or 2 feet, they'll bite a wacky rig in that dirtier water or the off-colored water if the water is shallow. Normally, if the water is less than 3 feet deep. Prime example would be if you've got, say, 60-degree water, water visibility is 2 feet, and you've got shallow cover. Really good way to catch them there. But for the most part, I want clear water with a wacky rig. I want water visibility of at least 4 feet. That's the best to me. Not to say you can't catch them in less than that, because you can. You can catch a lot of fish on a wacky in 2 to 3 feet water, again, if you're fishing shallow. But to me, the wacky rig really shines when you've got a combination of water temperatures in the 60s and water visibility of over 4 feet, because they can see the thing. They can see the thing as soon as it hits the water. They can see it falling. They can see it on the bottom. It's natural looking, and that's what you want to capitalize on. You want to capitalize on that natural look, and that comes with fishing in clear water. So I fish it, you know, once that water temperature gets around 60, guys, I'm fishing. Number one thing I'm looking for is flatter banks that are protected from the wind in coves and bays and creeks. I don't want to be out on the main lake. I want to be in coves, and I want to be in some areas that are flatter and protected, because that's where those fish are moving up to look to spawn. And I'm not targeting spawning fish, but I'm, you know, catching the ones that are moving in and out, and, you know, it'll catch everything there. It'll catch cruising fish, it'll catch fish that are close to bedding, it'll catch fish that are done bedding and a little bit deeper. Now, one of the things I do like to do with the Wacky rig is I want the bass to get the bass's attention. And the way that I do that, it's a little bit different, is I'll throw my Wacky rig, I'll make a long cast with it, and as soon as it hits the water, I'll shake it like that for maybe 5 feet, and I'm just sort of skittering it just barely under the surface, like real fast, and then I'll kill it. Once I reel it to the depth that I really concentrate on fishing, I kill it and let it fall. And a lot of times when you jerk it along the surface like that, it'll get the fish's attention, and they'll hit it as it's falling. Now, the strike usually occurs for me on a Wacky rig. It's like probably 80% of the bass will bite a Wacky rig as soon as that bait hits the bottom and you move it for the first time. That's when you get most of the bites on it. It's like the bait sinks to the bottom, your line goes slack, it hits the bottom, and you lift it up. That's when the fish is usually there. About 20% of the time they hit it on the fall. They actually come up and grab it as it's falling. And very seldom on a Wacky rig will they hit it after you've worked it a long distance, since it's a clear bait. So to save time with the Wacky, what I do is once it hits the bottom, I work it maybe 5 feet, and then I reel it in and make another cast. That's been pretty productive with me on it. But the main thing, guys, you have to be patient, and you got to let it sink. You can't get in a hurry with a Wacky rig. It's a slow bait. You're not going to catch many fish on it if you fish it fast. So just sort of dial back your trolling motor and slow down. Let that bait, give that bait time to sink. Give that bait some, you know, time to get to the bottom. And it's probably, it'll catch as many or more fish than any lure that you have in those conditions. So anyway, I hope it helped you guys catch some, and we'll talk later.